Hi everyone, in today's video we are talking about reading with reversals. I've done a video on this in the past, but I've had a few viewers ask me to speak to this again now, so I'm doing an updated version of this request series video. So the first thing that I want to say is there isn't a right and wrong in if you choose to work with reversals or not. And you can absolutely change your mind and sometimes work with reversals and sometimes not work with reversals. There isn't a you have to or you can't aspect to this. It's about what works best for you as a reader, what speaks the most to you and allows you to give the best reading possible, whether this is a reading for yourself or a reading for someone else. Okay, so I want to say that first and foremost. And the other thing I want to say is if you don't use reversals, it does not mean that you can't correctly divine when something is in shadow or not. That being said, I still, at this point in time, I'm almost 11 years into my reading career at this point, and professional reading career, and I do not use reversals. And I'm going to explain why in a moment. But that being said, if you do choose to use reversals, more power to you. You have to work with what feels best to you and what's going to allow you to give the best reading possible. So me saying I don't use reversals doesn't mean you shouldn't use reversals. And the other thing I want to say is that this can change at any point in time. It can change for me at any point in time. It can change for you at any point in time. We have that freedom to grow and evolve as readers. It's okay for us to do that. So I just want to affirm that for you before we get started. And the other thing that I do want to encourage you, if you are watching this and you're new to tarot or you're not sure where you fall on using reversals or not as a reader, trial and error is the most important part of this. So, you know, to discovering like where your sweet spot is with reading. So if you have to give it a try. So make it playful, have fun, get curious about it. Try reading with reversals, try reading without, see what feels better for you, see where you get the best reading, and then work with that. And then every once in a while, you know, give it a try again. See where you are on your journey with it at this point. So I just want to affirm that you can sometimes read with reversals and sometimes not. You can change your mind. You can be wherever you are on this. There isn't a right or a wrong way to do this. It's about what allows you to give the best reading possible. So that being said, I do have one exception to my I don't read reversals rule. And if you've had a reading from me, then you probably know this, but my exception is Alice the Wonderland Oracle. I do use reversals in this deck because I have found that the reversals in that deck, I don't get too in my head about it. So there are two reasons why I don't read reversals. And I don't have reversals in my deck. The first reason is, and Ian Daniels talks about this in Tarot of Vampires, that he had really created his deck for the artwork to be seen upright. And when you reverse it, you lose some of the nuances of the various symbolism that's included in the imagery in each card. And that really struck me, and I found that I gave a better reading when I could fully see the artwork in its upright position, especially in Tarot of Vampires. Going outside of working with Tarot of Vampires, as I was experimenting with other decks and have been over the years, when I read with reversals, I get too in my head about, did I clear my deck well enough? Is it supposed to be reversed? Should it, was it actually meant that it's reversed for the client and not for me? I get way too in my head. I start thinking, I get into a not good Queen of Swords space if I'm doing the right thing in a reading or not. I get way too in my head. I can't focus on the energy. And the other thing is, no matter what deck I've ever used, even if I were to stop using reversals in Alice the Wonderland Oracle, I've always been able to tell when a card is in shadow or not. And the way that I've described it over the years in mentoring programs is, when it's in shadow, it's almost like the card is darker to me. Like if I'm looking at my spread, let's have 5 cards set out, right? The ones that are in shadow tend to look like they're actually shaded to me, actually more in shadow than the upright images. And so that I've always been able to tell when reading for others course, it's much harder when we read for ourselves, but when reading for others, I've always been able to tell when something is in shadow. It shows up, the card itself looks like it's shaded as I'm looking at the spread as a whole compared to the upright cards, and I'll just get the feeling that, oh, the client is blocking this energy right now, or they're experiencing it in its shadow form. So I've always trusted that, and I've not needed to see the reversal to know that it's reversed. That being said, reading for ourselves, especially when it comes to shadow aspects, is really tricky. So if you are someone who has a hard time knowing when something is in shadow or not for yourself and you're reading your cards, using reversals in that situation could be something that's really beneficial for you, because you are seeing the card literally reversed, so you know without having to sit with it if you are blocking this energy or experiencing this energy in shadow or not. And primarily when we read and we are looking at something in shadow or reversed, as you'll hear all of us readers talk about, we are looking at either the person is blocking the energy, they're resisting it, it's not in their conscious awareness that they're coming up against this aspect within themselves or this experience in regards to perhaps a childhood wounding or something like that, or they're actually working with the energy in its opposite reflection. So when I say that, it's like when we work with the Wheel of Fortune. In upright, it's a positive change, and in shadow or reversed, it can be seen as something we weren't expecting that happens that we might view as a negative thing or a difficult thing, right? So it's like it can be the opposite meaning of the card upright, or it can be a resistance to, a blocking of the energy when it's in its upright or light energy. I like to say like dark or light, just obviously so much of my channel speaks to that energy too. So if you found this video, you're probably playing with that in your spiritual practice as well. So it's the reversal is showing you where the person isn't conscious about something, is resisting something, or is experiencing the shadow reflection of the upright meaning of the card. Now, if you want to go really old school with your readings, the reversals in the 78 Rider-Waite-Smith cards, some of them do have very different meanings than when upright. So just, and if that really excites you and you want to discover that and learn that and really step into that energy, then I would say do some research on that. You can work with the original Pictorial Key to the Tarot by Waite. You can work with Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom. Those older tarot books are going to give you insight into, specific separate meanings for each card. So for me, I do not use reversals, and it's because my intuition, it lets me know when something is in shadow. I get way too in my head and start skull fucking myself about card meanings and if I was supposed to be reading that reversed or not when I see reversals in a reading. And to go along with Ian's reasoning in his deck, I do like the ability to see the image upright, to be able to pay attention to the symbolism that's sticking out to me for a specific person. In the same way that like there are set meanings, but we apply them to the individual, and that changes with each person. It's a very personal experience getting a tarot reading, right? So I like to be able to look at the imagery upright, and from there I'll be able to divine if they are working with it in shadow or if they are working with it in an upright fashion. So those are my thoughts on reading reversals. I hope you found this helpful. Remember, it's about what works for you as a reader. It's not about having to do something a certain way. And I would really encourage you to explore and play with working with both ways of doing it in a reading and see what feels more natural to you. When it comes to reading, especially for others, you want to move in the direction that where it feels the most natural, you feel in flow, and you feel connected to your intuition the most. So I really want to encourage you to explore and have fun with reversals, but at the end of the day, go with what feels best for you, and you don't need to apologize for that. So as always, I am sending you all much love and many blessings. I'll see you in the next video.